Shalom, Yashrala. This your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and ever will. And salutation and much love for you, Akim, pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump into this here lesson today, which is, I actually got about 3 different articles, but we're just going to briefly touch on them real quick. But as you see, these prophecies are speaking loud and clear, and they're coming faster and faster. Like the scriptures akin this to a woman in travail, with those birth pains. All right. It's like, how does it go in Matthew 24? They give you the signs of all these things coming, but then I believe it's verse 8 where it says all these are the beginning of sorrows, right? But nevertheless, this is pretty much to liken it to the woman's water breaking, all right? The beginning of sorrows when you start hearing the buildup of these things, all right? And now she's in the labor, all right, she's having her contractions. Maybe her contractions are kind of far apart and things like that. When I first came into the truth, these major prophecies like this, man, there was a big gap in between one and another. We used to get super excited. Maybe in one full calendar year, you may have 2 big major prophecies that may start knocking at the door or something like that. And then when those things start happening, we get super, super excited. All right. But then nevertheless, in these recent days, it's just like, man, there's so much that's going on. With these last major prophecies, they're so close back to back together. All right. So all in the same time, we know that these prophecies are speaking loud and clear. All right. We're at the end. It's not tarrying. It's not lying. It's manifesting itself to be true. All right. The words of Yahushua are manifesting themselves to be true. All right. But nevertheless, as far as these prophecies knocking, they coming back to back. Let me see. I mean, we could just, I didn't want to go all the way down in all these things, but these was a couple different articles I wanted to do some stories on. But and hey, before you can even get back to one, sometimes there's another story that comes out on top of that. All right, that's like, damn, before I could get to that lesson, there's a newer updated story. So in fact, touching in on the lesson we're going to go into today. All right, oh shit, see, as I'm going further down, so if you can read this here one at the very top. Man, even going down here, you have the one that's at the top of the screen now. All right, touching on that, I'll call it the project 1316. All right, if you can understand, you read between the lines between 13 and 16. All right, this is what this one here is talking about, right? All right, we know that's what their end goal game is. But now touching back on this here, here's another one, about the Nord Stream 2. This is a lot of this is going on in the news right now, which is going into the beast starting to hate the whore. All right. This is between like Russia and Germany, basically. All right. So look at this here article that's at the top now about LA becomes the first major school district. All right. To get people to participate. All right. Then this one here came out, a day later. It says Biden to make it mandatory for everybody to participate, dealing with the jobs. Well, basically, that's what the talks was. But then you go up 100 million Americans affected. Biden to mandate all employers, right, to get you to participate. All right. There's more dealing on that. Now let's jump up to the 3 I wanted to touch on, which is still dealing with all the same things. All right. Well, here's another one right here. I wanted to get on this as well. But hey, you know what I mean? There's no point in me going into this lesson because this is the lesson I'm doing today. All right. This just came out yesterday. All right. About Biden will push global leaders. All right. To get everybody to participate. Right. Here we go. U.S. military branch is set to mandate. All right. That you participate for all troops. All right. So you see where we're going here with these things. All right. I'm just reading some of these headline articles. All right. Because they're all pretty much touching on the same thing. All right. 13 and 16, 13 and 16 on down. When you go into he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. All right. We're going through the different groups and categories of the people with just these headlines. All right. Now, Also going into that about the divide that it's going to start creating. I read the one that's at the top now. Thousands of LAPD cops and staff, all right, looking for a way out, looking for these exemptions, all right. And this one here, Massachusetts governor deploys 250 National Guard troops to drive school buses amid driver shortages, all right. So these things are having effects on, everything else around, floating on around. I think that was the last one. Yep, that was pretty much the last one. So these three right here, all right, that's just in the latest succession. All right, so like I was going into about those contractions and things like that, man. All right. Yeah. So as you see, these people are trying to get up out of participating in things like this. And this is your so-called law enforcement and military members and things like that, the ones that they're counting on to hold you accountable. But I was watching a video on one of these cops, and I don't even believe the cop was an American. I think it might have been a Canadian, and they were saying about how they didn't want to participate with these things, and they don't feel that it's or they don't want to enforce these things that's coming out like that because of the fact it's like, well, if I'm out here, being Macho Man Randy Savage and enforcing these things on other people's families, there's other cops in other neighborhoods where the rest of my family live that's doing the same thing to them. If I don't want it done to them, why would I go out here and do the same things? So you can see it's the narrative of why a lot of these people are trying to so-called find excuses not to participate in these things. All right. So this is going into that great divide that's being pushed out here in Babylon based off of these things here. All right. Based off of this one little problematic situations going on globally. All right. So nevertheless, let's jump into some scriptures. I don't want to get this video taken down for misinformation. We're just going to go over the headlines. You can read some of them and everything else like that. All right. Let's talk about this Project 13:16. All right. Revelation 13:16 says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor. All right. Let's go back. He calls all, both small and great. All right. So you have your regular people from, the me, you, him, and her, the regular civilians and citizens and things like that, all the way up into your how you call them, high governmental officials and these people that's in all these higher up places. All right. All these quote unquote somebodies according to their infrastructure and things like that, whether it be, again, you work in the government, Congress, and all these places, from top on down, even the CEOs of certain businesses and corporations, they're even up under these things to where, like, for instance, you work at a big major company, right? Corporation or something like that. Sometimes you have different rule sets for different peoples. Yeah, maybe the janitor can't park in these little areas here or there, but hey, this is the CEO of the company. You're not going to tell him he can't park there. He don't have to abide by the same rules that they got to abide by. These folks down at the lower level, they don't get an hour-long break and can leave and go and do all these things, but he the CEO of the company. He can go and come as he please, right? But guess what? He's going to also have to abide by these things. Oh, you a business owner? You own your own business and make your own rules? Well, you have to apply by these same rules as well. All right. So it says, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor. All right. So whether you these top billionaires or whatever, or just, again, the regular, everyday working man, or even a homeless person. All right. Rich and poor, free and bond. All right. Whether you're a free citizen walking around, or you're locked up in Esau's system, or you're a part of their, again, working for the government, you signed up, for the government as far as being in the military. All right. Or any of these workforces like that, man. All right. Well, you pretty much what they call GI or governmental property, man. Government issued, man. All right. But nevertheless, all these people are not exempt really from Esau's plans. All right. Because it says here, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that have the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. All right. And so when you go into this, man, you can believe what you want to believe and think this isn't what you think it is, but you can see the preview of this taking place up in New York. All right. You have to be able to show papers to be able to go inside a certain not certain restaurants, any establishment, man. All right. And, that those types of mandates and things are going to spread. You have to talk about, I believe, what is it? I think it's Australia, where they pretty much shut everything down for a while just to so-called curb this here thing from spreading. And hey, it's not far-fetched that they would do that like that again here, man. All right, it's certain things that they seem to be ramping up for these things to fall into place, or how do I say, the perfect scenario to be set up for them to take advantage of it. All right. Let's go from there. Now, that's based off of, the mandates and things is going out. But, you also have how do I say, effects of these things that you see also taking place. All right, let's grab, I think it's Matthew 12. Uh, Here it is. All right, Matthew 12 and 25. And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. All right, so going into that, you have to understand about, one of the things I was hearing somebody else going into these things last night on a video I was watching about, just going into basically like a war tactic. You can understand about how Esau took us down. All right, now how it played out, because ultimately it was, according to the scriptures, that this is what was supposed to happen. But if you see how Esau played it out, you had the 12 tribes and everything like that. Well, he has that, he put the divide between all the different tribes to where we would hate one another. Again, like I said, spiritually, we're under those curses, so that's what happened. But how it all played out, Esau, we outnumber the Edomites. All right, but nevertheless, he didn't broke us all down and have us fighting against one another. So he don't really have to bring the war to us, man. All he got to do is provide us with the guns and the drugs, and we'll kill each other. Weaken our own selves down. All right. So when you see that these things are being implemented and being put into law, what do you see the effects of these things happening, man? I did a video on this just the other day, man, about how there was an article about how these people are starting to break up relationships that they have with friends, families, jobs, and things like that over them not wanting to participate and everything else like that, man. All right, you hear the narrative on some of these newscasters and these news shows about how, oh, it's because of those folks who didn't want to participate. These are the reasons things like this is happening, man. All right, you just had a situation where who was it? Nicki Minaj was on something. She was on something, right? And she wound up saying something about this whole medical situation, about how she wasn't going to participate because she didn't have enough information about it and everything else like that. She knew somebody who basically took it and wound up getting sick or had side effects. Then she knew somebody else, I believe it was Drake, who took it and wound up catching it after the fact. You know what I'm saying? And she was just like, I just want more information about it. I'm pretty sure I got to take it because I want to go out and do my concerts and everything like that. And she was pushing for that. She's pushing like this. She was going to participate with these things. But then you had this newscaster, I forgot it was Gail King or somebody like that, took that chance to, obviously Esau probably put her up there to bash, Jake bashing Jake. But put her up there to just start going in on her, how irresponsible she was, because she has such a big platform to be speaking these things. Like, well, she never told anybody not to take it. If anything, she was like, well, I'm just getting more information. And ultimately, in her own words, she said that she was going to more than likely have to take it anyway, or was willing to take it so she can go back out to do her concert. All right. But nevertheless, these people are waiting for any mention of these things so that they can put that division in between. All right. For what? For that, it's easier for them to, like in this whole scenario, we saw this with the mask situation. All right. Now, when they say, oh, everybody need to mask up and everything else like that, from their perspective, if they know that they're about to come down having great wrath upon you, right? Come in, and when the enemy's about to come in like a flood, if they know that this is their in-game tactic, all right, we're finna go to war with them, right? Well, let's see how many of them that we can, lead astray to the slaughter, the blind leading the blind. How many of them do we already got duped in the mind where they ain't even a threat? All right, well, we're gonna say, y'all gotta put these masks on and everything else like that, because this shit's going, hey, it's the boogeyman, right? So now you start seeing, if you were them looking down and trying to not measure, but basically check the temperature of your enemy, see if you're ready to go and attack them and everything like that, you would just go roll around and see all these people driving around in their car by themselves, or out in the middle of the woods by themselves walking, or out in the middle of the beach by themselves with a damn mask on, man. I'm like, all right, they ain't no threat. These people, they believe whatever the hell going on. They so far gone. And this nigga's in his car by himself in the middle of the damn Arizona desert. You know what I'm saying? With his mask on, windows up, and it ain't a car, building, bird, or anything in sight, for miles on end. But yet he masked up trying to protect himself. So he ain't a threat at all, right? So they can check the temperature that way. So when they put in this here divide like that, all right, they can see who's with it and who's not with it. And then they just focus on those that's not with it to come down on them, all right? So it says, going back to 25, it says, and Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. All right, so hey, Revelation 12 and 12, wanting to come down and having that great wrath. And, when Jacob's trouble coming in, they want to see who's going to really be a threat, who's really going to be an opposition, who's going to really be a enemy in that day, man. They're the ones causing and putting this here division. I was talking to somebody just the other day about, some of my relatives and things like that, and how they going back and forth about participating and not participating, and how they don't want to talk to this person no more, that person no more if they ain't participating in all these different things. And they all bugged the hell out, man. All right. But it's just like, when I was asking one of my other relatives, like, what, y'all all come from a highly quote unquote Christian background. Y'all all know the scriptures from going to church every damn day. Not that they understand the scriptures, but at least they know the scriptures. They know about the mark of the beast. They say they believe in God. I'm like, well, why? Like, y'all know that this is coming. Y'all know what this is, but why y'all just all of a sudden jumping for these things? That's you over there with your lips, you confessing the Lord, but really your heart is far from him. All right. But nevertheless, you seen this here divide about how a man's foes are going to be there of his own household. All right. This one thing alone is causing this here divide. Now, when you go into, let me read this one more time. We'll get to the next precept to kind of tie this in together. And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. Every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. So let me go to Ecclesiastes. I can read it from the top. Give me a second. All right, slack it. Ecclesiastes 12. Let me start at verse 3, just to get to the point, not to make this too long. Ecclesiastes 12 and 3. And the days when, let me just read from the top, because I just spoke on this. Remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasures in them. So, this is really, not to go off topic too much, but this is the importance of seeking the Lord early, all right? Like this is also saying in verse 1, all right, before these unpleasurable days come, all right? Because you would have been preparing yourself for these things. You would have already been exercising and everything else like that, man. You don't wait until the night of your title fight, all right, your world heavyweight title fight to start training for the boxing match, man. You train months on out, man, for that one night. Those, however long the fight is going to be, you train, that long for that short amount of time. So when you get there, you're prepared already. All right. And all the, like I was just speaking on some of my relatives, how they all completely divided up, what I'm saying, in each other's throat, whether they want to take this or they don't want to take this and everything else like that. I'm like, yo, y'all all talk about y'all loving God and going to church every Sunday. Y'all should have been prepared for these things and preparing for the last days. But then, just like the scripture also say, they say, since our fathers went to sleep, the same things continued on. You know what I'm saying? They, everything gonna keep going on. They want to live in their pride and their wickedness. So they just put off from day to day of the Lord, man. They're not hastening the day of the Lord. They're not really looking for these things, They're very far from the Lord. So, hey, guess what? The Lord caught them as a thief in the night, man. Caught them off guard, man. All right. One where I know the scriptures, I know about the 1316 project and everything else like that, yeah. And you ain't gonna be able to buy or sell, say you have this and that. Like, well, what you think is going on globally right now? All right, yeah. But we got to worry about this right now first. All right, like shit, your whole time, and all that church time you went and all that shit you did was in vanity, man. Because when it's time to apply it, you don't know what the hell to do, man. All right, so it's gonna be hard for you to. Let me read verse 1 again. Remember now that thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasures in them. So, like I was making an analogy, it's going to be hard for you to sit there and train for your heavyweight title fight, the night of, you didn't got into the arena, you about to get dressed for your title fight. It's going to be hard for you to start your training right then and there and actually win this here fight when your opponent has been training for the last 6 months for this here bout, man. You just getting there. No, man, you're not going to have, you're going to be caught off guard, man, like a thief in the night, man. He's been studying and watching your tapes and all your moves and everything else like that. You can't even get your form right, man. All right, you don't even know what size boxing shoes you need to be wearing out there in the ring, because you ain't even, what I'm saying, you so far behind you can't even get the first step right, man. All right, but nevertheless, and this is one thing that I wound up saying unto, speaking to my relatives about this big debacle. I was like, you know what, instead of trying to go so far into what all this really is and everything else like that, I'm like, you know what, the one caveat that they not considering is, who the fuck are they dealing with, man? Who are you listening to, man? That's why, again, this is why it's important. Blessed is he that readeth, man. And with all thy getting, get understanding. Wisdom and knowledge is going to be the stability of thy time, right? So with all of that and applying the scriptures at hand, all right, never trust thine enemy, man. All right, you have to understand where we at. We in our captivity, man. All right, this is our enemy that's over here deceiving us, who is the damn devil, man. All right, you put those things into perspective. It's an easy decision to make, man. At this point in time, all right, it's just like this, man. You got your kid, right? You need a babysitter and everything else like that, man. All right, it's like, what do? You just go pull any random person off the street and let them babysit your kid? Or do you go and you, let's say, search out babysitters in the area, right? Read the reviews. You vet this here person out. You find out a little bit about them, man. All right. Nobody in their sane mind with children would just go and get them a random babysitter. Just pick a random person off the street, man. You could be pulling a pedophile into your damn house, man. You the one let the enemy in, man, to do what they was going to do to your child. So it's really not the predator's fault that they didn't take advantage of your child. It's really your fault because you brought them into the house, man. You didn't vet them, man. All right. And so, like I said, man, this was the major caveat with the conversation that was being held, with my relatives about these things. Like, the problem is you don't I can explain this day in and day out, but if you don't understand who you dealing with and who you talking to, then you'll miss the whole thing anyway. But like Scripture said, they was blinded, they was blinded anyway. At least they would come to the repentance and be converted. But nevertheless, hey, man, going back into this here lesson, going back into that great divide that this whole thing is creating. All right, it says Ecclesiastes 12 and 3. And the days when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out the window be darkened, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of grinding is low. Now, going into these different things like that, man. Now, you had a bunch of different things from the lockdowns. All right, that actually shut a lot of businesses down. Like, with the lockdowns going on and these people still having to pay rent for their establishments and not having no business coming in, a lot of the small mom and pop shops pretty much closed up, man. All right. But then when they opened back up, you had a lot of sales dragging because a lot of people weren't working for the last couple of months. They ain't really got the money to go out and go splurge on some restaurant food and everything else like that, man. All right. And not only that, they coming out of lockdown. They're afraid of going outside. They're afraid of everything else like that. They don't want to be in the public. All right. And then on top of that, you had people getting used to taking this governmental aid and not wanting to work. All right. So you have this whole caveat where it's like, the business owners, they was able to survive by paying rent the whole time they wasn't making an income. All right. Or if, the employees trying to come back, they're afraid to come back. All right. Or the consumer, all right, is not really going out there spending the money like that because they wasn't really making no money because they were at home shut out of their job. All right, in all these different scenarios, or even with these new mandates that we were going through in there, you got this company saying, "Hey, look, man, with the 100 employee situation, you got to participate." All right, now there is talks about, big portions of the U.S. military pretty much trying to walk off the damn job, man, because of them trying to mandate those things, man. All right, you have I forgot where it was at. There was an entire police force, the captain and the whole police force walked off the job, man. All right, you saw an article again today about how they're trying to use exemptions to get around the little mandates and things like that, man. All right, so you have not only, like I said, there's a lot of different jobs where they couldn't continue to pay rent. All right, can't get employees to come in. Nobody's really coming to spend money in their establishments. All right, now they're making these mandates and stuff like that, which is going to further drive down, the amount of traffic coming into your store if people don't want to participate. All right, and then you also have massive amounts of people about to start walking off of jobs that don't want to participate and being forced to participate. All right, so as we read earlier in Matthew 12 about every kingdom divided against itself, all right, you have some people feeling this way, some people feeling that way. You can go back to just the elections alone about Donald Trump being Joe Biden being elected over Donald Trump. Now, Joe Biden in office and people saying F Joe Biden and everything else like that. People are divided on these types of topics, man. Those in your own household, you're divided over these topics, man. All right, you don't even know whether or not you're going to have jobs here sooner or not, or if we're going to go into another lockdown and all these different things, or if every job from here on out going to start making mandates. We're seeing more and more posts about, another job put up. Hey, you gotta participate and able to work here. So the amount of available jobs is even being shut down out here in the streets, man. So the whole economics is coming to a screeching halt, man. All right, because simultaneously as they're breaking down everything and dividing everybody, I'm about to bring in Revelation 12 and 12 coming down with great wrath. All right, they also want to set up their new economic system, which is what? That, we read it earlier about the 13:16, Revelation 13:16. All right, unless you have that there, we'll call it the Marcus. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be able to financially participate into those things unless you got that. So we know they want to transition from this fiat paper currency they got into basically a digital currency that they can track, trace, and basically follow you up, and spy on you, more or less to say. All right. But nevertheless, going back into the topic of the video about this here great divide and how all these things are causing people to start walking off and separating themselves from the things that they love and everything else like that. You got a lot of these military men, and that was their life and everything else like that. But now all of a sudden they're being encroached upon. Same with these police officers in the police force. A lot of people that hold these jobs take a lot of pride into their jobs. It's very rare that you see a police officer at a job say, I hate my job. It's not like he's working as on a regular factory job or something like that, man. Most of those types of people that work them jobs, they love their job and take major pride in them jobs. But for them to just be walking off in masses like that, not only them, the doctors and the nurses, man. You got a lot of them that's just walking off the jobs, or I forgot what state it was, where they all wanted to sue because they was trying to mandate that they all, participated, man. All right, so you can see about how, and this ain't, the mandates ain't even in effect, I don't believe, as of right now, but, this is what they're the foreshadowing, but you already see how the sentiment of the people are already jumping ship from these jobs, man. All right, now let's just take a snapshot of that from all these people about to jump ship off of these jobs, comparably to a lot of these small, not to say mom and pops, but these smaller establishments, your Dunkin' Donuts and things like that, or your regular mom and pop's little restaurant here and there that survived the lockdown. But now, with the food shortages and things like that, and all these other things going on with their and not being able to staff their establishment properly because, the unemployment is just jumping, which they pulled a lot of those benefits on Labor Day. All right, but you have a lot of these businesses having to modify their hours or modify their menus because they don't have enough staff working into these buildings, right? Now, this is before the so-called mandates of the, all these 100 employees or more, all right, scenario. Now, before that was even put into play, like I said, man, you have a lot of these businesses got to now hiring sign up in the window, telling them they can't find employees, so we got to shut down one day out of the week, or we got to limit the amount of menu items we have on our menu because we just don't have the staff for it, or we can only, we got a restaurant with maybe 50 tables, but we can only take 15 tables at a time or 10 tables at a time. We don't have enough servers. We don't have enough cooks. We don't have enough this, or we don't have enough that. All right. So, hey, you can already see what was being foreshadowed. So when these things come further into pass, it's like I said, it's going to be like a domino effect. More people will walk off their jobs, standing on their own beliefs, right? But then it's just going to cause a cog in the wheel. All right, you go to certain places and have extreme long wait times, like I said now, because they don't have enough employees. How much more when all the rest of these employees walk off, which is going to further damage the economy and people trying to get, because these folks that are walking off their jobs and don't want to participate can't go get other jobs where they forcing you to participate. So are they going to continue to keep paying rent and things like that? All right, so the person that's holding that mortgage, just renting that house out, hey, their income is going to slow up, man. So, and this is going to cause each other to start going at each other's throats, man. All right. In fact, we can close out with we'll close out with that. Let me at this point we'll close out. Second Ezra 15 and we can start at 17. Well, let me just start at 14 because all of this is all coming. All right. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. All right. For there should, and we see, with the uprisings, the protests. All right. And people already on edge. Like I said, man, you got a lot of topics and things right now going on about saying, hey, man, I don't care if you my relatives, my family, and so on and so forth. Hey, don't come around me if you ain't participating in all these things. I don't care about this and that. If they already saying these things, wait till they start feeling the sting of these things, man. More people start losing their jobs. And like, man, they're going to always look for somebody else to blame for their mishaps, man. All right. Like, just think back to what Esau was saying about Issachar, man. They're taking all of our jobs. They're coming over here illegally and taking all of our jobs. And I'm like, this is the dumbest shit you can say in your whole life. I'm sorry, bro. If you, as an Edomite American, lost your job to a quote unquote illegal Issacharite, all right, that don't speak no English, your ass, not even you the problem. You retarded, but your boss is the problem, man. Because obviously he chose to hire him over you. But if you speak English, you was born here, and you can't get in trouble for, with the law with all these different things, why would he just pay you to do the job over him? All right. In reality, the real deal was, no, the Issachar coming over here and working out here in these farms and picking strawberries. We see him, like where I live at, it's a lot of farmland and shit like that. So we pass by the cabbage farms, tomato farms, strawberry farms, orange groves. it ain't nothing but it really is Jake out there. You know, you got Issachar out in the fields, and you got like Levi working inside the factories and things like that, man. All right, and now these jobs don't really discriminate on. They'll take whoever they want to take inside of there, man. All right, I worked at one of these places over there, man. At a tomato packing house. Hell, I even worked at another type of food factory type thing. It was actually in the beverages and stuff like that. But nevertheless, you know, the majority of the people that was down on the floor level and all those things was all Jake, man. All right, you had Esau up at the top. All right, but a lot of these Edomites didn't want to take them jobs, man. Them Edomites didn't want to go out there and start picking strawberries and picking tomatoes and shit like that. Now, they could have applied for the job and went out there and worked with their ass, but none of them went out there and applied for it, man. The only people that was filling those positions was Issachar. So, but they had that narrative, oh, it's their fault that I ain't got no job. They took away my job and all this and that, so I got to blame them. I got to hate these illegal Issacharites and everything like that. So, if they saying that over something dumb as hell like that, that's not affecting them. I'm sorry, bro. If you should be mad if you lost a 6-figure job, you know what I'm saying, for somebody else, but 9 times out of 10, it was over salary and performance, man. But I'm telling you now, you as a CEO or somebody in some prominent position in some kind of company is not losing your job to somebody that's quote unquote illegal on paper, can't speak no English and none of that stuff. But yet and still, these dumbass people will sit there and use that excuse as to why they ain't got no job no more. All right, but you know, don't be surprised when they start coming out the woodwork blaming us for, you know, oh, y'all the reasons why we can't open back up or the kids can't be safe in school or all these different things and so on and so forth, man. All right, so hey, we already know what's coming down the pipeline, but let's read it here. 2 Ezra 15 and 14 again. Woe unto the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword in their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, in the course of their actions shall stand in their power. All right, and we seen about how what was it, July 6th or something like that, or January 6th, the Capitol riots going on. All right, that uprising over, you know, them not wanting to recognize the person they put up in the office. All right, you know, you had the we call it Black Lives Matter, but the anti-Black Lives Matter protests and things like that going on as well too. All right, you know, people clashing back and forth, the lockdown protests, and then people bucking back up against the governments and things like that, man. But how much more in these times, man, when the government is starting to mandate these different things, man? You're gonna have some. You see it right now with our governor here, DeSantis is like, yo, man, we not abiding by that mask mandates for the schools and everything else like that, man. We got our own state. We're going to do our own thing. And if y'all want to play around, you know what I'm saying, and follow with that, we're going to start taking money out of the Department of Education and everything else like that, man. All right. Then now all of a sudden, you know, he's gearing up just in case there's lawsuits and everything else like that. All right. And he's even trying to go to find companies that's trying to force people to have to participate in these things, man, or lose their jobs, man. So you have sedition between two governmental heads. All right, you got like a head of a state, and then the head of state going back and forth. You know, the big dog of just one small local area, and then the actual big dog over the whole area, man. They going back and forth with it right about now, man. So if they going back and forth about it right now, how much more the regular people that's living around in society is being affected by those things and don't like their governmental rulings? All right. It says, for there should be sedition among men and invading one another, and they should not regard their kings nor princes in the course of their actions stand in their power. So, hey, man, you know, like I said, for a small example, DeSantis with the mask mandates. Oh, no, they mandating the mask for the kids in school. And he's like, hell no, not on my watch. And we'll find y'all if y'all want to start pushing this out on these kids and everything else like that. Now, if the kids and their parents decide to send their kids to school with a mask on, that's on them. But we're not going to force them to be over here doing all these things. That's, quote unquote, what they would say unconstitutional. But nevertheless, you see how they're butting heads. How much more when, you know, these things get further down the line. All right. You know, you have like I said, whole police departments, whole hospital staffs, military personnel and everybody else like that. They're regarding their higher ups and their chain of commands, man. And they supposed to be glued to the hip to the government infrastructure, man. All right. And they're even in a spirit of rebellion against the government, man. All right. Verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. All right, and we can see how things are set up like that. In fact, when the pandemic first started, they wasn't allowing people from certain states to enter certain states. Because I remember my parents were traveling, and you know they was coming into Florida, and they was like, yo, they got a roadblock as soon as you, like, you know, maybe two exits as soon as you come into Florida, asking, you know, where's your papers, where you was coming from, did you come from this state or this state, the hot spots or whatever. If so, you got to go back and leave. You know, now they saying you know, a certain planes and stuff like that, or destinations, you gotta, check out before you go over there. You gotta check out when you get there, and you gotta check out before you return, and then you gotta check out when you once you get back. There's a 14-day wait period or certain things like that. Make sure you clean to be able to pass their little test to be able to commute from one place to another, whether it be domestic or internationally. All right. Or going back to 17, it says, a man should desire to go into a city and shall not be able. So again, like I was saying, hey man, it wouldn't be far-fetched that, if Biden was to say, you know what, since Florida don't want to make the mask mandates, we don't want y'all to be spreading y'all shit over here. We're going to cut y'all off. Nobody leaving from Florida, going out of Florida. Nobody going into Florida, coming out of Florida until we get this here shit resolved, man. And then maybe they might do us like they do Cuba, put sanctions on us or some shit like that. No more trade for Florida, but hey, it's all good. It's just hastening the day of the Lord, man. Come on. Verse 18, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. And so, like I said, this ain't far-fetched with the way DeSantis is rolling for them to start sending in these FEMA troops, all right, or UN troops. I forgot where that was at, whether it was Utah or Ohio or something like that. One of the states got them FEMA troops out there right now, all right? It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, and shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So again, thinking back into these companies where there's 100 employees or less, all right, thinking about the trucking companies and things like that, where all the truck drivers is already ready to go on strike, all right, if they just start walking off the job, then that means less food, or food's going to take a lot longer to get to the grocery stores, or less food's going to get there. Less people working in the grocery stores that don't want to participate, all right? And, hey, you got less money to spend because you ain't even got no job to get there, man, all right? And so, hey, man, it's about to be a real lack of bread, or, a lack of funds and income, because, a lot more people are about to start losing their jobs and things like that, man. And the government is not going to be giving out these assistances unless you want to play ball with them, man, all right? So, hey, this is all being set up and prepped and primed for all-out battle royale, man, all right? So, hey, man, we want to stand firm in this their truth, man, and endure to the end, man. We almost up out of here, man. All right? Let me read that and we'll get up out of here. Revelation, not Revelation. Matthew 24:14. Oh, not, yeah. Well, I could read up. Well, let me just read it 14. It says not 14, 21 and 22. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there shall be no flesh saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. And we see in those things, the days being shortened right now, not by, not by, there's less hours in a day now. But, hey, the prophecies are speeding up faster and faster and faster and faster and faster, man. All right, Lord's will, they'll have these mandates like they're talking about now, all put in effect by the end of this here calendar year in December, so that, all the next year we'll just have them just mandating the 1316 project, man. All right, so, Lord's will, that's what next year is all about. Hey, man, we got the new tracking device and everything else like that. So, hey, let's go ahead and get these passports rolled out and get up out of here, man. All right, so Lord's will, the elect was edified with this here lesson. Until next time, I say, call halal, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of great millstone that taught us this truth and that will. And salutation, much love for you, Akim, pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth, and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Till next time, I say, stay strong. Shalom.